Hello, I'm Martin Dorflink from Cataclysmic Science, and this is part 4 of our Atlantis series. In this episode, we will look at the idea of alien intervention during the time of the ancient civilizations. Yes, I know some of you have rolled your eyes from the very mentioning of this topic, but let's give everyone a fair chance. Remember, in the previous episode, I spoke about the concept of presupposition and data analysis, and I'd like us to stick to that in analyzing this alien idea based on different presuppositions. Okay, so in this presentation, I borrowed some pictures and information from Ron Matson's video presented at the Canonia House seminar. So I just want to give credit where credit is due. And then also some slides from the late Dr. Chuck Missler. Just a quick mention of our everyday interaction with this alien topic, without us even realizing. So, due to all the myths and legends from our history, we have, in our entertainment industry, created a big place for the rise of superheroes, and mostly them being from outer space. If we look at the top 30 high-income films up to 2019, we see that 18 top-rated movies are aliens or superhumans saving the Earth. These are Avengers, Avatar, Star Wars, Aquaman, Captain America. The list goes on. But okay, back to our conversation of presupposition and data analysis. If your presupposition of humanity falls in the first group of Darwinian evolution and that humans sprang from monkey-like animals and that's how it's always been, then you might strongly disagree with all of this UFO and alien ideas. Then remember, there's the second group that also believe in this millions of years evolution, but with a bit more mysticism to it in that one. And then at one time, some Prometheus alien seeded the planet or conscious being from another world intervened here on Earth and had some influence. And that have given rise to advanced ancient civilizations. And then the third group would believe in intelligent design or instant creation by God. So what does this mean? Group 1 is not really part of this conversation, but group 2 and 3 both have big opinions on this topic. Let's get into that. In the above picture, we have some Greek mythological characters, many times associated with fighting giants or being giants, or like Hercules, being a child of a human and giant. Then we also have winged gods or demigods. In the picture here we have the flying god Asser from Mesopotamia and the flying gods Isis from Egypt. I don't know what they are doing in this traced image from a relief carved into stone, whether it's electric eels or just normal snakes connected into this lotus flower shaped vase thing doing something. Makes me also think a bit of the Baghdad battery. I don't know. There's the gods of South America. I don't yet know what to make of them. It's interesting, all the Easter Island statues and the other Olmec heads on the other side of the world. But that's something for another day. The Hindu gods are strange. They clearly are not human-like, often having many arms and many heads. The question is, why would someone exaggerate some imagined images, especially if they used to and some still are taking it so serious? Was it exaggerations in their art, statues and images, or did they describe exactly what they saw? I want to give you two descriptions from the third presupposition group. In the book of Isaiah, it described, above it stood seraphim, one had 6 wings. And in Ezekiel 10, a description saying, each one had 4 faces, a face of a cherub, a man, a lion, and the eagle. And in the whole Bible, angels are mentioned 196 times. we get to the point where we see two of our advanced ancient civilization groups, both with totally different presuppositions, describe similar type of things and peoples and beings. There are, however, a big difference, and this is where our presupposition really matters. Look at the top picture and see what plasma under the microscope looks like. It looks the same as galaxies through a telescope in infrared and other wavelengths. The below picture of galaxy M31 Andromeda shows electromagnetism at work. The thing is, many people seem to observe that we live in a plasma universe, an electric universe, or a hologram type universe. There are things outside of our everyday observable 3D universe and visual spectrum that exist, giving the idea of more than just 3 dimensions. Above is a picture of the sun with electromagnetism at work. So, I myself am a qualified radio amateur, meaning I wrote a technical exam to be able to put up radio towers and play with frequency bands, bouncing waves through the atmosphere and propagating them along distances. I'm also a professional geologist, studied a lot of geophysics and remote sensing using satellite imaging and processing. I looked at quartz crystals and other crystals under the microscope. I do understand some sciencey things. I'm also an astronomy hobbyist, if that's a word. I have my own big telescope at home. I've personally seen the 4 Galilean moons orbiting Jupiter. I've seen the rings of Saturn. I've gazed into galaxy clouds. I understand astronomy. I can navigate by the sun, moon and stars. I am a licensed sailboat skipper also. As I've said, I understand some sciencey things. And this is where we need to discuss the concept of ETs versus EDs. So, ET stands for extraterrestrial, or the concept of transuniversal movement. That means aliens from another planet. EDs stand for extra-dimensional, or the concept of trans-dimensional. This means strange beings coming out of another dimension, let's say from the 4th dimension into a 3rd dimension world. Thus, we are looking at extraterrestrial versus extra-dimensional. Presuppositions in understanding the influence on advanced ancient civilizations. That's the split in analyzing our data. And in this conversation, we need to clearly define where we come from with our ideas and also understand the influence of imposing those ideas into some topics such as advanced ancient civilizations. Let's look at some modern day ET, extraterrestrial deceptions. There was the Roswell incident, and afterwards the US Air Force set up Project Sign, and in 1949 Project Grudge, and in 1952 the famous Project Blue Book ran up until 1969 after having compiled 12,618 UFO reports. Now, if you look at secret military technology, don't worry, I'm not going to reveal anything classified. These are just obsolete technologies nowadays. Lockheed Martin had the U-2 Dragon Lady program with his first flight in 1955 from Area 51 in the Nevada desert. This plane flew above 70,000 feet at 0.56 Mach speed. Then in 1962, the A-12 Archangel flying at 80,000 at Mach 3.1. And in 1964, the SR-71 Blackbird had flying at 85,000 feet at speeds of Mach 3.3. Now here's the kicker. The Air Force didn't know about this and had no competitive plane to this. These planes were commissioned in the highest secrecy by the CIA, and this was the Cold War era. Nobody trusted nobody and everybody kept secrets. Now the CIA briefed the FAA, who made sure the air traffic controllers were told to only submit written reports of unusually fast high-flying planes rather than mentioning it over the radio. Nevertheless, many reports of UFOs were filed with the US Air Force Project Blue Book. All news of crashes of these planes was controlled by the CIA. So there were counter-information operations of plausible deniability, where you need to let the people believe anything other than what's really happening. Governments may fuel UFO conspiracies back then to distract people from secret plane technology and spy operations. And I believe that this is why you get people today that truthfully testifies that they were involved in secret information gathering projects on UFOs. Those were probably from departments that was always kept out of the technology and operations loop. Kind of like Fox Mulder in the X-Files division. Here is a story of a 2012 declassified project called Project 1794. Of a Canadian aviation firm trying to develop a disc-shaped aircraft for the US military in the 1950s to create a supersonic aircraft. Unfortunately, they were never successfully developed and they usually ended up crashing. See, deception is the first line of defense in war. The real question would be, what type of world are we living in? One of extraterrestrials or one of extra-dimensionals? Till the next video.